Welcome to a Happy New Year's edition of the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, the land of pleasant living, my home state. John Webster, how you doing, Mr. Webster?
Hey Gary, doing real good, man. Happy New Year to you, man.
Yep, same to you. Same to you, man.
The weather here, you would like it. It's about 40. It's still too cold for me, man. I need 95 to 100. 95
Okay.
to 100.
We had the weather here splits the difference, man. It's about 50 degrees, probably supposed to get up to close to 60, which of course is nice for a few days, but then the cold comes and then the colds come. You know how that goes.
Got to be careful, man. If you dress the wrong way, you're going to get sick. You're going to have that
Yep,
three-letter word called the flu.
yep. I'm all armed with zinc, vitamin C, and gonna get my flu shot this week.
Hey, man, another great week in sports. We're gonna say a little bit about the NFC East, and then we're gonna jump onto some other things going on with the NFL. NFC East, the Giants knocked off the Cowboys. I think the Giants may have a bright future because they got a quarterback, they got a running back coming back next year, and they got a wide receiver coming back next year, Scatterboo and Malik
Hmm.
Neighbors. Now, the other side, one other one, Philadelphia and the Commanders. The Commanders beat the Commanders beat the Eagles on Sunday. Close game. I don't know how they pulled it off. Well, then again, I do know how they pulled it off because Philadelphia played most of their second string.
Hmm. Yep.
So good win for the Commanders. We're gonna come back to the Commanders because we're gonna talk
Do we
about.
have to? Do we have to? Okay.
Well, Gary, there's some hot breaking news that we're going to come back to because we're going to talk
Okay.
about some other coaches and everybody and what's
Okay.
happening because of Black Monday and early Black Monday Sunday. So let's go to a couple of these games. Let's talk
Yeah.
about San Francisco and Seattle. Seattle shut San Francisco down, won the NFC West, and has home field advantage for the entire playoffs. What do you
Hmm.
think, Gary?
Yep. Well, just like what I said 2 weeks ago, I mean, I think Seattle is, when they beat the Rams, they look like the team to beat. I know you were, I think you were kind of on that Rams bandwagon, and you might still be right, but right now, Sam Darnold has that offense humming, that defense starting to look. What is that? Oh, what was that nickname? The Legion of Doom.
Legion of
So,
Doom.
boom. I'm sorry.
Legion
Yeah.
of Doom. Don't you insult my Road Warriors, the
Yeah, that's
finest
right.
tag team
Okay.
wrestlers
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I got a consonant wrong. What can I tell you? But hey, look, it's the same effect. I mean, if you're San Francisco, it was nothing but doom. And if you're Seattle, okay, you got to buy. You've got home field, and we all know how the 12th man helps them up there. That is formidable. And if you're Seattle, I think you got to stay sharp. That's the one thing about having a number one seed. That yeah, you get a week rest, but of course that rest could mean rust. I don't really see that with this team because I don't think Seattle really knows how good it is or how good it can be because they've just kind of worked themselves into this position. They haven't been egotistical about it. They've been very surgical about it. I'll say it like that. The way that they've just taken over that division, especially again with the way that they beat San Francisco, and I think that game was in Santa Clara, home of the Super Bowl. And if you're San Francisco, you're gonna need a lot of help to be hosting your own Super Bowl. But right now, it just looks like Seattle.
Well, I'll say this. Seattle is tough. I still I still think the Rams are a very good team, Gary. I still like what they can do. Um, Taking nothing away from Seattle. That was a great win. They shut down that juggernaut offense of San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan had been getting 30s and 40s on people for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Shut them down. Um, my man Mike McDonald does a great job there. Great job. Former, if I'm not mistaken, defensive coordinator with the Ravens. So
Hmm.
I think they have a good team. They are dangerous. Um, Carolina, Tampa Bay. Carolina wins by losing. Let me say that
Hmm.
again for you, Mr. Graves. Carolina wins by losing. So
Hmm.
they lost to Tampa Bay, but still win the division because Atlanta beat New Orleans. So that's as far as I went in math. I can't go much further than that, Gary.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, bottom line is like you're looking at our 8-9 division champion hosting the Rams.
Hosting the Rams. They
Yeah.
kicked the Rams' butt about 5 weeks ago.
Hmm.
I do not believe that's going to happen again.
Neither do I. Although I'm going to say this in Carolina's defense that that we were even talking about them as a division contender is more than anybody really could have expected from that team. I think it says a lot about the maturation and development of Bryce Young as quarterback because he faced a lot of questions about his abilities his first 2 years in the league. They've got an offense that he can run. They've got an offense, and by run I mean direct, and he can run. But I think it's one that works within his talents as well as his limitations. They're not asking him to do too much. Um, I think they're allowing him to see his receivers. That was always a big question, and he's doing well with it. I really like his upside. Again, I agree with you on the Rams, but I think Carolina can't be overlooked by virtue of what you said about the previous meeting, but that was then. This is now. This is the playoffs. They backed into it. The Panthers did, and I don't know if you can sustain that against a team like the Rams that has something to prove now because I think they obviously have Super Bowl aspirations. They have Super Bowl potential, and I think they're ready to prove it. And I think more than anything, they're looking for some rematches either against San Francisco or Seattle.
All right, man. Now, how about this one? This next game I'm going to talk to you about, this is part three. Part
Mm.
one and part two were humdingers, slobber knockers. Will this part three be as good as part one and two? Bears, Packers, part three. What happens this time?
John, I'm telling you, based on what I've seen from those first two games, I don't know. I mean, there's if there was ever a toss-up game in this, and where my loyalties lie with Green Bay, but Chicago has come a long way this season quickly, thanks to Caleb Williams. That defense is very opportunistic. I forgot how many interceptions they have. I think they led the league in interceptions this year, but
Yeah.
a very or led the NFC at least. They're very opportunistic. They've got it going on both sides of the ball. They and I think they're gaining confidence. If you're Green Bay, you're going in with health questions. Jordan Love didn't play. There are questions about about his health and his status. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but you got to figure out a way to protect him and keep him upright to have any kind of chance against the Bears. Are they the monsters of the midway like old? No, but but they got a pretty monstrous defense. And again, much like Seattle, I don't think they know how good they are yet. I think they see how good they can be with where they are and winning the Central or I can't believe I called it Central NFC North.
NFC North.
I know. It's like, man, I went almost called it the black and blue division, like it used to be when
Okay.
when we were
See,
young.
Please say that again. Black and blue.
Yep.
That just warms my heart, man.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it's like I could still see the steam pouring out of Alan Page's helmet. The steam
Man,
and coming out of his mouth.
man. Outdoor games at the Met.
Oh yeah.
No
Yep.
heaters on the sidelines.
Yep. And I mean this one, it's like it'll be in Chicago where, again, you figure it's gonna be cold. Um, I don't know how much of an advantage Soldier Field's going to be, but it helped them in that last meeting that they won in overtime, which really was a good game. Actually, it was a great game. I'll just say I didn't like it as a Packers fan, follower, etc. But I really sometimes you accept a game for how good it was, and yeah, it might hurt, might disappoint, but it's like, hey, a great game. You just appreciate how competitive it was. Just like when I watched the FCS championship game. That was something to behold if you had a chance to watch it.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Oh, you didn't watch it. Oh, well, if you didn't see the highlights, man, you got to go back and see it. That was really a back and forth game in a way that it
Oh,
really wasn't ever.
You talking about last night with who
Montana
was
State
that?
and Illinois
Illinois State.
and Montana
Yeah.
State.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Overtime win for Montana State.
what's that?
Overtime win for Montana State. What was it
Oh
35,
yeah.
34?
Yeah. Oh, John, you had to see how that game unfolded. We could get into that after we get into the college football playoffs, and talk about Montana State being the FCS national champion. So yeah, we can wrap up with that one.
Hey, San Francisco and Philadelphia. I think San Francisco. I think this is one of the finest, not one of the finest coaching jobs Kyle Shanahan has done. I've said it to you before. I think he's a marvelous coach. But with the injuries they have, Fred Warner out, Joey Bosa out, then they
Trent Williams might be out too.
well they say Trent Williams and Pearsall are coming back this week.
Yeah,
We'll
that's what they
we'll
say. But
we'll
yeah, I mean,
see.
look, if you want to win at Philadelphia, yeah, you have to have both of those guys, Pearsall and Trent Williams, but especially Trent Williams to watch Brock Purdy's backside because again, there's no substitute for a great left tackle. The backup is not the same thing as a 10, 11 time Pro Bowler, possible Hall of Famer, excuse me, likely Hall of Famer. So,
There's also there's also rumors going on that Purdy he hurt his hand late in the game
yeah,
last Saturday, and they're
yeah, he
still
got he
saying
he got he got crunched on that one, and
there's maybe some lingering effects.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you really need to protect him against that Philadelphia defense. And with Philadelphia, John, all year, I feel like Philadelphia has been like a sneeze in your nose that just can't come out. You feel
Hmm.
it building, and it's like, you're doing this, and you feel like you can't let it out and feel better and be relieved. I don't know if that's um, the right metaphor to use, but it feels like that, again, they have won, but it's just like they have not had a complete game all year. And I dare you to pick any game that they've had where it has been a complete and thorough dominant effort.
Well, you got a good point, but what I will say, this is not San Francisco's normal defense. Robert Sala's back. I think he's done a very good job holding pieces
Mhm.
together. But I think what San Francisco is going to have to do if they want to be Philadelphia, I think they're going to have to outscore them, Gary. I don't see this being a slobber knocker. I don't see them being able to do what they did to Seattle last week. Jalen
Mhm.
Hurts is a little bit different than Sam Darnold, and I think Philadelphia's going to put points on the board. San Francisco's going to have to match them.
I think San Francisco can match them. For Philly to put points on the board, that would be kind of an upset in and of itself because I mean this is a team. how many times have we talked about the weapons that they have?
Mhm.
I mean, Hurts, um, Saquon Barkley, and Brown, AJ Brown. Oh yeah, no, Devontae Smith. We've talked about them all year, and we have yet to see them put together that effort like last year, where they were dominating on both sides of the ball. And there's been more finger pointing than anything else with with this team. And yes, we've done the same thing with them, trying to point fingers as to what's wrong. But all I have to say about that is now's the point. It's like don't listen to the talk shows. Just shut up and play. That's what they have to do. They have to go out and prove it. And if they beat San
Mhm.
Francisco, that's a huge step in the right direction. Granted, you're probably going to have to go on the road to finish out the job. Probably going to have to go, I guess, to Seattle. If I can't remember how the bracket looks, but they, again, no matter what, they have to go to they have to go to tough places, provided Chicago wins, or provided they win, and maybe Chicago wins. Because either Chicago or Seattle, if they hold serve on on their
So
home
Philly,
field, then they'll be hosting a game.
Philly hosts this one, but
Right.
Philly's the number three seed. So if Philly wins and Chicago wins, they go to Chicago next week.
Yeah,
And
and they got to
then
win
the
in a
other,
cold climate.
yeah, and then the other one will be the winner of LA, and Carolina will go to Seattle.
Okay.
Part
Okay.
part three, if that happens with LA and Seattle. But
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. How about that AFC side, Gary? I mean, there was a great game on Sunday night.
Mm,
Uh, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Really unfortunate that either team had to lose. I feel
hmm
bad for the kid. That's the kicker for the Ravens. That's rough, man. That's rough.
Yeah.
Um, Pittsburgh moves on. Pittsburgh has a game against the Houston Texans. Houston Texans defense is no joke. I don't know if Pittsburgh can really get the offense going enough to score enough points to beat them. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but one good thing for Pittsburgh this week they have DJ Metcalf back. DK Metcalf, DJ Metcalf is coming back. I'll say that Metcalf is coming back, so that's going to help.
Yeah.
But they still are short. They're missing that kid Darnell Washington. That's that 6'7", 6'8" tight end. He broke his arm. He's out. Um, we'll see. Maybe with Metcalf coming back, that's going to help Thielen. Adam Thielen can go and be the number two, and Metcalf can be a one. We'll see. We'll see. This the running back on Pittsburgh, Warren, tough running back, looked really good. But then again, he was running against the Ravens defense, and this year, unfortunately, this is not your mother, your father's Ravens defense.
Oh,
They were just giving up at all sorts of stuff this year.
yeah. Well, the thing about that game is that for both teams, it was a microcosm of their seasons. And I think no matter who won, they'd be carrying a lot of questions into the playoffs. Congratulations to Pittsburgh for gutting that one out, and really the tough part in gutting it out was just waiting to see how that kick was going to sail, which of course sailed wide right. And that put Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, I think, for the first time since 2021,
Mm-hmm.
which we never thought we'd be saying. But of course, things happen. You go to different teams, and for Aaron Rodgers, yeah, it's another chance to prove himself. You're a 40-something-year-old quarterback taking a team into the playoffs. Yes, you've got your number one receiver back, but you're also facing just a relentless defense with the Texans, and you know daggone well that D'Amico Ryans is going to bring the house each and every chance he gets in a game like that. I don't think they care that it's in Pittsburgh. Um, you look at the Steelers the last few years, and yes, I'm probably going to upset some Steelers fans on that, but um, they just haven't been that good. They won a bad division and they won it on a missed kick, essentially. I mean, well, they went ahead, but they held on to win that division thanks to a missed field goal. Whoever won that game is still probably looking at, okay, we got another week out of this, and that might be it. And if you're Pittsburgh, I think you have to accept that. If you're Baltimore, you're wondering what might have been. And of course, Baltimore has bigger issues beyond that loss because John, 6, 7 months from now, we could be talking about a completely different team. Maybe coaching staff, maybe head coach. I don't know if it's going to happen. After the game, I was thinking it's time to blow this thing up and start all over. I don't know. And I was thinking it's even Lamar Jackson is in play on this one. 48 hours later, I feel a lot differently, and I'm just going to wait and see on that one. But I do think that a strategy has to be devised to utilize the talents, the weapons that they have with Henry and Lamar Jackson. You've got to find receivers. You've got to develop, I'd say, another slot receiver, another tight end for that offense. And again, you have to figure out a way. How in the world are you going to use Lamar Jackson? Um, he hasn't really shown the inclination to run as much as he has. He's developed into a better pocket passer, but this year, of course, he was injury prone, and I always feel like when you're injury prone like he's been, the season is incomplete for him. That's the kind of grade I would give him. Incomplete because you just didn't really see the whole Lamar. I'm not even sure if you saw the whole Derrick Henry on that either.
Well, that's going to be interesting. You got a lot of very good questions that will be answered in the next 6 or 7 months. Let's slide on over to Coach Khakis taking the Chargers into New England. What happens, man?
With San Diego, who knows what's going to happen? I think they played. I think they played well enough to win at Denver, um, but just couldn't get over the hump there. And that was, God, that I mean, that was with their quarterback on the sideline. Um, mm, and John, I'm telling you, almost said Philip Rivers, but I'm glad I didn't. Um, I think New England has something to prove. I think they have a lot more to prove as a division champion as opposed to San Diego. We know we know what Coach Kaki can do or what he has. We're seeing what he has done, but this one I think is really on New England to prove that you weren't just a fluke, that you won maybe a weak division. And that's all I can really say about that one. Drake May, yes, is taking steps, but you're not hearing about him. You're not really thinking about him as a game killer. I mean, just like that dominating force. And it's because again, he's a young quarterback himself. But again, they have played well enough to win to get themselves into position. A home game means everything, and if you're a Patriot fan, like yourself, you have a lot of faith in the Patriots to get it done at home. Is that kind of the right assessment?
We'll see. I think this Patriot team is young. They've done a lot of great things. Drake May is probably the best deep throwing quarterback in the NFL this season.
Not Bo
Ron,
Nix. I'm
yeah,
surprised.
deep thrower. Yes, I
Yeah.
think Drake May is the best deep thrower in the NFL.
Yeah,
I
that
think
that that's a strong
Stevenson is,
comment because yeah,
yeah.
I love Bo Nix and his deep balls, his deep throws.
Yeah. Now I think also the running attack with Stevenson, they're gonna have to control the ball.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that's going to help Coach Cack and the Chargers, their front line is beat up, but New England's front line is not known as someone that gets a lot of sacks, gets a lot of rush on the quarterback on a consistent basis. So that's going to help. I was going to call them San Diego. That's going to help the Chargers because
Yeah, yeah,
that line is so beat up.
yeah, yeah.
But we'll
Um,
see.
yeah. I like Justin Herbert. I want to see him have like that kind of breakout game, that kind of definitive signature game that we have wanted to see from him at a key moment, at a signature moment. I think this is a chance for him to do that up in New England. Um, I like their chances of pulling off the upset. In fact, I would even go out on a limb. I'll just say San Diego, the LA Chargers can win that game. You know, John, I don't know if we'll ever get used to calling them the LA Chargers, which
Hey,
ironically is where they started.
hey, Gary, is John Hadle starting on Sunday?
I don't know, but I got my Lance Allworth jersey, up there. You've seen that, and John, I'm going to be wearing that bad boy.
Man, I've been talking to Dante. Dante, as you all know, I collect jerseys. Um, I'm thinking about getting that San Diego Chargers jersey, but I want the powder blue one.
Oh,
So,
you mean like the one that I have, the Allworth jersey?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm thinking
that
about getting that one. Thinking
That
about getting
that
that
powder
one.
blue, man, you just can't go wrong. Just cannot
Yeah,
go wrong.
it looks great. Now, how about Buffalo and Jacksonville?
Whew. That could either be a shootout or a slobber knocker. Um, because I don't think Jacksonville, again, that's one of those teams that just kind of came out of nowhere. I think they've won what, 7, 8 straight.
Mm,
And to win, to really win was a competitive division. I mean, to win the AFC South, it was really a competitive division because there was one point where we thought it was going to be Indianapolis. One
mhm.
point we thought it was going to be Houston when they improved from, what was it, a 1-3 start or something like that. In Jacksonville itself, got off to a slow start, but once that offense really found itself, now we're talking about Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, being a 1-2 duo, and I give a lot of credit to Liam Cohen for really bringing the best out of both of them. You've heard me refer to him from his days here at Kentucky, like every other year. Well, let's say twice in 3 years where he was the offensive coordinator at Kentucky, and I'll say he had mixed success. 1 year good with Will Levis as quarterback. Not so much the second time around, with a assortment of quarterbacks. But every time he went back to the league with the Rams, the Rams improved. I feel like you see the same thing in Jacksonville, that he just makes players and teams better. He understands the right kind of plays to call, and he's good at developing quarterbacks. It's a multifold thing with them. I think that part will carry over, to this playoff game. The thing about Jacksonville, it they have a very underrated. The Jaguars have a very underrated defense. Um,
Mhm.
they can pressure the quarterback. They can cover. They can limit the run. I'm not going to say that they can stop the run completely, but they're decent against the run. And I think a game like that, Buffalo probably has more to prove than Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I don't want to say that a team is just happy to be there because they know they can do better than that. But for Buffalo, we've talked about the window closing for them, that window of getting to the Super Bowl is very, very narrow. Not just winning it, but just getting there. Just ask Baltimore. and Buffalo is just in that situation now. They're not division champions. They're a wild card team having to go on the road and prove themselves. They don't have to go to Kansas City, but they got to prove that they can beat another team, and they have to do it on the road, and they have to do it in a warm climate, such as what Jacksonville is. It's a lot. It's a lot for Josh Allen to really have to deal with, especially with with that defense. If anybody can get it done, though, it's him.
I think it'll be an interesting game. Buffalo's a very seasoned veteran team. I wonder with Jacksonville playing this game, they've had a wonderful season, but they are young, and will the lights be too bright for them? That's
Hmm.
what I wonder about. And also, number 17 over there, Josh Allen. You never want to bet against him, Gary, because
Yeah, yeah,
he's always going to try to find a way. And I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I think they get past Jacksonville. I really do. So
yeah.
we'll see
Same
how that
here.
works out.
Yeah,
Hey,
I think so too.
man, we had some interesting things happen on Sunday and Monday. Unfortunate, again, I've always said I never want to see anybody lose their job. That's what I never want to see. But it's been called Black Monday with the NFL and coaches losing their job. Raheem Morris was fired Sunday night after the Atlanta game, after they won.
After they
Um,
won four in a row to close the
yeah,
season.
yeah. Um, Brian Dable has been fired, so I guess since week 10, he's been gone. Who else is out there?
Kevin Stefanski was fired by Cleveland.
Yeah, I think he'll pop up, like they were saying, be a candidate for some other jobs like Atlanta. Maybe even Tennessee with Cam Ward there, him working with a quarterback there. Rich
Mhm.
Gannon, not Rich Gannon. What's my man's name in
Was it
Arizona?
John Gannon?
John Gannon. Yeah, he got let go. So Pete Carroll, Oakland Raiders. Oh, I'm sorry, just the Raiders. He's you know I still think he's a Hall of Fame coach. I just
Yeah,
think that was a situation there. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong with the Raiders this year. I mean, everything possible.
yeah, yeah. I the only team that I feel like really they've got to they have to look at themselves in the front office as opposed to the coach, and of course that's the Raiders. And um, it's dysfunction. Well, success and failure starts at the top. Our boy Ken Beatrice used to say that all the time. And with the Raiders, I don't know. I can't understand with the history and tradition that team has that they just, I don't know, they seem to be mailing it in. And you thought with hiring a coach like Pete Carroll that, yeah, okay, yeah, you might get kicked in the teeth this year as they were, but you saw no growth in that team and you saw no hope in that team. And I think even Pete Carroll probably realized, my gosh, I could do nothing with this roster as it's been given to me. What do they say? You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
Yeah,
Or maybe you can, in some cases, but not in Vegas. And the thing about Vegas is that you can't that there's no motivation for them because they're always going to make money. You never hear about an NFL team, uh, going broke. But when you're a team like the Raiders, and they were always crying poor when they played in Oakland. Heck, they were crying poor with Al Davis when they were in LA. But they're always crying poor in Portland, talking about fans weren't coming out. They get this brand new stadium, just probably one of the most beautiful stadiums in the NFL. They got an eager fan base right there in Las Vegas. It's a burgeoning area. You got the tourist trade or clientele. wanting to come to that place. You figure with that kind of money pouring in, oh yeah, and TV and merchandise money,
Hmm.
all the usual revenues sources coming in. You figure they've got money to spend. I don't think they're that tied up with the salary cap, and yet you can't get top line talent to come in there. And I think that says something about the organization and um, was it Mark Davis has to kind of look at himself and just say, okay, if we're going to be like the Raiders of old, I've got to put the right people in place, and I just don't think that he's doing that. And just to clarify one other thing with the Cardinals is Jonathan Gannon, not John Gannon.
Jonathan Gannon, thank you. Um, this is what I'll say about the Raiders. The history for the Raiders is rich. You go back with John Madden, Ken Stabler, Daryl LaMonica. They've had some unbelievable teams. Jim Plunkett, unbelievable Super Bowl wins. Tom Flores as a coach. You're talking about putting a team together, and you're right, Gary. But I think if they want, I think they've lost the mystique of what the Raiders are.
Hmm.
And I think what they need to do, you need to find, to me, it's like basketball. I'm going to build a basketball team. My first thing is to build it inside, then out. I want an aircraft carrier, then I want some guards. That's the first, and I want fast players.
Hmm.
So, football, I think you need to build your team inside out. What I mean is, you got to start with your line. I'm not saying you're going to have these two names I'm getting ready to call to you, but you need to have some semblance of using them as a direction to go in. Art
Hmm.
Shell, Gene Upshaw. So you need to put together some guards and tackles based upon that. Jim Ottawa as a center. I know I'm
Yeah.
going back to the 60s and the 70s. I know I'm going way back,
Even the
Gary.
80s, John. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
you're talking about three decades of excellence that the example was set with all of those guys there. And when you think about the fact that Tom Brady is a minority investor, um, that there has to be some kind of input on his part. I never thought I would say that, but there has to be some kind of input on how to build this team based on the teams that he's led to Super Bowl victories. He obviously studied under a Hall of Fame coach in Bill Belichick. He had a good coach in Tampa Bay with Bruce Arians, won a Super Bowl. What and again, he's Tom freaking Brady. He's got to say, look, you can't keep doing this way. We got to try something. And you've got the number one pick in the draft, so you've got no excuse. There's a crap ton of talent. You might have a national champion quarterback in Fernando Mendoza, available with the number one pick. Or you draft linemen, like you say, and maybe hold off, getting a playmaker. But you need everything. You said offensive line, but you need a building block to start with, and I guess that starts with the most visible position on the field, at quarterback.
yeah. I'll say this. Yes, you need a quarterback, but quarterback ain't gonna do you no good if you ain't got a front line to hold him up.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, yeah. It's all of the above. You just have to really zero in on what your priorities are.
yeah. Now, one last move that just happened today. The Commanders have mutually parted ways with Cliff Kingsbury, and Joe Witt was fired. So the Commanders are going to need a new offensive coordinator next year and a new defensive coordinator next year.
Hmm. No. I
Waiting for you, Gary.
well, John, like I said, because it happened so soon before we started taping. It's like I haven't had a chance to really get my mind around it. And I think my first impression that I told you before is that I'm really sorry that Cliff Kingsbury is leaving from a standpoint that of what he did last year. And what he was able to get out of Marcus Mariota this year with Jaden Daniels injured. There was an influence there that I'll say made Marcus Mariota a serviceable quarterback still. And the question for Mariota, because he's not coming back. I mean, once Kingsbury was out the door, he's out the door too. So where he goes, Mariota rather will land there as well. And I think both of them, it'll be a mutual gain for the team and the players and coach if they go as a package. Um, Defensively. I don't know how I really feel about that because I don't think it was more about the coaching than it was about the personnel, John. This is an old team. It was an old team on both sides of the ball. You could talk about how some guys were used on offense or weren't used. Yeah, I always thought they underused their running backs. Even the linemen complained about that. Defensively, you relied on old guys to try to get the job done. And of course, with old guys, what do you get? Old guy injuries. That's what you saw. And uh, even when the season was lost maybe about 6 or 7 games ago, and you start thinking about this is a time to weave in some of the second stringers, the younger guys, and develop for next year. They didn't do that. They stuck with this same formula. I don't know what they were trying to do in terms of trying to salvage whatever wins they could get. And as you stated at the beginning, they beat Philadelphia's second string by a touchdown. So, again, it goes to personnel. You can build off of that a win like that if you want to, but I still think you might have to really look at this roster and say we get a mix of veterans, but we have to start building for down the road. It's important for them, yes, to win now, but you have to find a younger core of players to get that done, I feel like.
I agree. Goes back to something you and I talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The amount of players, the amount of needs that the commanders have. You may
Yeah.
need to look at your best asset
Yeah.
and think about it.
Mm.
I'm not saying you have to do it, but you need to think about it. Look at your best asset. If you traded your best asset, how much would you get back for your best asset?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
That's
we're not going to call any names, Gary. We'll just say your best asset.
yeah.
If you look at your best asset, whatever your best asset is, what can you get back for that?
John, I know what you mean, and you're right. And we just have to see because um granted, it's just year two, but you're kind of in that put up or shut up phase
Yep.
with this team. With some of the name personnel you have, as well as say some of the up and coming guys. This is the time, year three under Quinn, that something has to give. It doesn't help now that you're going to have to do it with new coordinators on both sides of the ball. But even with that, it's the reality of the NFL. It's like you got to win now. You got to win. You see other teams that are winning with first and second year coaches. So yeah, and Washington has to be one of them. And Washington was one of those teams last year.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen, man. Let's flip over to the college football playoffs.
Yeah,
You got
yeah. Wrap up with
Mississippi.
that.
You got Mississippi coming up against Mississippi is going to play who is that? Miami, and Oregon is going to play Indiana. What do you think's going to happen, Gary?
That Miss Ole Miss Miami game might be the most intriguing one because you've got two offenses that can score points. Yeah, Miami. I think they finally have scratched the surface of their potential. And remember, and this is without Cam Ward. Cam Ward's in Tennessee. So, Carson Beck is showing another dimension in under Mario Cristobal, and good for him. But what they did to Ohio State was impressive. What Ole Miss did against Georgia was impressive. And remember, they did that too without Lane Kiffin, who's now at LSU for the moment. Um, I'll say that one's a toss-up, but John, I think I'm going to go with Miami in that one because
Mhm.
for whatever questions that we had about them being in the playoff, they have won. They have gutted out two tough games over formidable opponents. You don't go to Texas A&M and win a game there unless you're doing something right. And then you don't go out and beat the defending national champions and really just not even make the game look close. Forget about what the score was. They took control of that game. And yes, as an Ohio State fan, it's like all I got to do is just give them props because well, one, it wasn't to that team up north, but the Buckeyes didn't exactly enter the stretch run strongly. I think their best game probably in their mind was beating Michigan, and of course they got beat by Indiana, and then they got beat in the playoff. So that's one of those things I think it says more about Miami though, to get back to them. So I like them against Ole Miss. As for Oregon and Indiana, a rematch where Indiana went to Oregon and won. Of course, now it's a game in the desert. Um, and Indiana just obliterated Alabama. That was just
Mhm.
that was surgical. That was surgical on both sides of the ball. But Mendoza has he definitely has control of that offense. Obviously, but that was probably his signature performance that um, I saw that Penn State game where he rallied them and got probably the best touchdown catch I'll say ever from a receiver, not just to get a high pass to him, but for that kid to land 1 foot in bounds with like maybe 2 inches to spare, I think might have been the most exciting catch I've ever seen.
Gary, you brought it strong to the mic like you always do. Come on and take us home, man.
Well, hey, what more can you say about the NFL playoffs, wild card weekend coming up, and of course the Final Four for the CFP? Again, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pick Indiana and Miami to meet for the championship. We'll see what happens, John. But hey, a lot of great stuff. College football. We even have Unrivaled in women's basketball. That one started a lot sooner than I thought it would, but I really want to pay attention to this league. So you've got that. You've got college basketball. I mean, I've got college basketball tonight with Duke and Louisville. So I'm going to be enjoying that. Um, but all that said, watch games, watch sports, folks. Watch us talk about it on YouTube, Facebook, and any kind of platform that you can find us on.
Hey, man. Thanks again for everybody coming to see us this week. Another great week in sports. You got some more football coming up, so watch some NFL football, watch some college football with the college football playoffs, watch some college basketball, men and women, watch some hockey, watch the NBA, watch some soccer. But above all else, just watch some sports and come back and see us real soon. Take care.